In the autumn of 1907, a single piece of paper held the future of a young man, and unknowingly, the world. On it a stark, simple verdict: test drawing unsatisfactory. This was the rejection letter from the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, delivered to an 18-year-old aspiring artist named Adolf Hitler. A single decision, a moment of judgment by an admissions board, that would set in motion a chain of events so catastrophic it would forever scar the face of the 20th century. What if that letter had said accepted? It's a question that haunts history, a chilling reminder of how the world can turn on the smallest of hinges. Before the thunder of marching boots and the shadows of tyranny, there was a young man with a portfolio of watercolors and a heart full of artistic ambition. In 1907, Adolf Hitler arrived in Vienna, the glittering cultural heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This city was a symphony of art, music, and intellectual fervor, a magnet for dreamers from all corners of the empire. He saw himself as one of them, a destined great artist. He had spent his youth in Linz sketching, painting, and dreaming of a life dedicated to beauty and creation. Vienna was to be his stage, the Academy of Fine Arts, his grand entrance into a world he felt he was born to inhabit. His mother, Clara, was ill, but she supported his dream, giving him the funds for his journey to the imperial capital. He was convinced of his own talent, a belief so strong it bordered on arrogance. To him, the entrance exam was a mere formality, a stepping stone to his inevitable success. He walked the grand boulevards, gazed at the magnificent architecture of the Ringstrasse, and felt a sense of belonging. This was where he would make his name, not as a politician or a soldier, but as a celebrated painter. He saw a future filled with canvases and accolades, a life of prestige within the hallowed halls of art. The first part of the entrance exam for the Academy of Fine Arts was the submission of a portfolio. Hitler presented his collection of drawings and watercolors, confident they showcased his superior ability. The examiners, however, saw something different. While technically competent, his work lacked the most crucial element for an artist: creativity and originality, particularly in his depiction of people. The verdict was a brutal shock. He passed the initial drawing test, but was not even admitted to the final, more comprehensive painting examination. The official reason noted a paucity of heads in his portfolio, telling critique of his inability or unwillingness to capture the human form and spirit. He was told he had more talent for architecture, a suggestion he angrily dismissed. This rejection was more than a professional setback. It was a profound personal humiliation. His entire self-image was built on the foundation of being a gifted artist. The Academy's decision didn't just question his skill, it shattered his identity. He couldn't accept the judgment of the professors, instead blaming them, the institution, and the system for failing to recognize his genius. He tried again the following year, in 1908. This time, his failure was even more absolute. His portfolio was deemed so poor that he was not even allowed to sit for the initial exam. The door to his dream was now slammed shut and bolted. His mother had passed away in late 1907, and with her, his last familial and financial anchor was gone. Now truly alone and with his artistic ambitions in ruins, Hitler's life in Vienna began a downward spiral. His inheritance and the orphan's pension he received quickly dwindled. He was too proud to seek regular work, which he considered beneath him, and soon found himself sliding into abject poverty. He drifted from one cheap rented room to another, eventually ending up in a men's homeless shelter, a grim, desperate place, worlds away from the grand Vienna he had come to conquer. He survived by painting postcards of city scenes, churning out simple, uninspired images for tourists to make a few coins. The would-be great artist was now a struggling street painter, anonymous and impoverished. It was in this dark underbelly of Vienna, a melting pot of displaced peoples and simmering resentments, that his worldview began to curdle. He was surrounded by poverty, social unrest, and a cacophony of competing political ideologies. He spent his days reading voraciously but indiscriminately, absorbing pamphlets and newspapers filled with pan-German nationalism and virulent anti-Semitic propaganda. In the cafes and shelters, he listened to and participated in heated political debates. He began to form a crude, hateful philosophy, weaving together his personal failures with the political poison he was consuming. He needed scapegoats for his own misery and rejection, and the pervasive, anti-Semitic rhetoric of figures like Mayor Karl Lueger provided them. He started blaming Jewish people for his artistic failure, for controlling the arts and media, and for the broader social and economic problems he saw around him. The enlistment in the Bavarian army at the outbreak of World War I in 1914 offered him an escape, a sense of purpose and belonging he had craved since his rejection. The rejection from art school was the catalyst that transformed a failed artist into a political fanatic. It was not merely a disappointment, it was the foundational trauma upon which his entire destructive ideology was built. The failure to create and be recognized for beauty festered into a desire to destroy and dominate. His artistic ambition, once aimed at creating grand buildings and paintings, morphed into a political ambition of grotesque proportions. He would build a new kind of empire, not with stone and paint, but with power, fear, and a twisted racial ideology. The world that had rejected his art would be forced to submit to his will. His early speeches were filled with the language of a frustrated artist. He spoke of cleansing culture, of designing a new society, and of sculpting a master race. The artistic vocabulary was still there, but its meaning had been grotesquely perverted. The man who couldn't master the human form on paper decided he would master humanity itself. The rage born from that rejection letter in Vienna never left him. It fueled his resentment, powered his ascent, and ultimately drove his campaign of conquest and annihilation. The artist's ego, wounded and denied, swelled into a megalomaniacal desire to reshape the entire world in his own dark image, leading to a global conflict and unspeakable horrors. It is a sobering thought that one of history's greatest tragedies may have been ignited in the quiet halls of an art school. A single decision, a different judgment, could have sent a young man down a path of painting Viennese landmarks instead of plunging the world into darkness. This single moment serves as a powerful testament to how personal failures, when mixed with a potent brew of resentment and hateful ideology, can have consequences that ripple across generations. The course of history can be irrevocably altered by the seemingly small events in a single life. We hope this journey into the past was enlightening. For more deep dives into the pivotal moments that shaped our world, make sure to follow Historical Repo.